Welcome to another Ziva Math video. In this video, we're going to practice how to change improper fractions into mixed numbers. First, let's go over the steps. If I'm going to change an improper fraction to a mixed number, step number 1 is to divide the numerator by the denominator. Step number 2, the quotient that I get becomes the whole number in my mixed number. Step number 3, I take the remainder, which now becomes the new numerator. And step number 4, we keep our denominator the same. And then step number 5, only if you need to simplify the proper fraction if needed. For this first example, let's look at a visual example. I have 7/4. I want to turn 7/4 into a mixed number. It's an improper fraction because my numerator is larger than the denominator. And if I want to look at it visually, I can color in 7 of the fourths. My two wholes are divided into fourths. And so I'm going to color in 7 of those fourths to model what 7/4 looks like. So as you can see, I've got one whole colored in, and then I've got 1, 2, 3 of the fourths in the second hole. So I have 1 and 3/4 colored in on my model. So 7/4 equals the mixed number 1 and 3/4. For our remaining examples, we'll turn our improper fractions into mixed numbers using our steps. So step number 1 was to divide the numerator by the denominator. Our numerator is 27, our denominator is 5. So we're going to divide the numerator 27 by 5. Your teacher might have also said top in, bottom out. So numerator inside, denominator on the outside. And then you're going to divide. 27 divided by 5 is 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Then we subtract, and we have a remainder of 2. And this is where you're going to go to step number 2. The quotient, which is 5, becomes your whole number. So our quotient 5 becomes our whole number. The remainder, our remainder of 2, this is step number 3, becomes our numerator. And step number 4, our denominator remains the same. So our denominator in our original fraction was 5. So our denominator in our mixed number will also be 5. And then we need to think about whether or not we need to simplify. Well, we can't simplify 2/5. So 27/5 equals 5 and 2/5. For this example, we have 22/4. And again, we're going to start with step number 1, dividing our numerator by our denominator. So we're going to take our 22 and put it on the inside. 22 divided by 4. So top in, numerator in, bottom out, denominator out. So 22 divided by 4. 4 goes into 22 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. And when we subtract, we get a remainder of 2. So now we need to look at steps 2, 3, and 4. Step number 2 says our quotient, which is 5. That quotient becomes our whole number. So our quotient 5 becomes our whole number. Our remainder of 2 becomes our numerator. And then our denominator from our original fraction remains the same. So that was 4. So now we have 5 and 2/4. Step number 5 is to simplify the proper fraction if needed. We have 2/4. 2 and 4 share a common factor of 2. So I can simplify 2/4 by dividing my numerator by 2 and my denominator by 2. One thing to remember when you do this is you have that whole number 5. So be sure the whole number 5 becomes part of your answer. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we get 5 and 1/2 as our simplified mixed number. So 22/4 equals 5 and 1/2. Our next example, we have 14/3, and we're going to follow our same steps again. So 14 is our numerator. We're going to divide our numerator by the denominator. So 14 is going to go on the inside, 3 will go on the outside, top in 14, bottom out 3. So 14 divided by 3, 3 goes into 14 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12. And when we subtract, we get a remainder of 2. So now we're on steps 2 through 3. The quotient that we got, 4, that quotient becomes our whole number. So our whole number is 4. The remainder of 2, the remainder becomes our numerator. And then step number 4, our denominator remains the same. So our denominator of 3 remains the same. So we get 4 and 2/3. Now we simplify this fraction part, the 2/3 if needed, and we can't. So 14/3 equals 4 and 2/3. For our next example, we have 26/6. Then we're going to change this improper fraction to a mixed number by dividing our numerator by our denominator. So 26 is our numerator, it goes on the inside. 6 is our denominator, it goes on the outside, or top, the 26 in, bottom, the 6 out. Then we're going to divide. So 26 divided by 6 is 4. 4 times 6 is 24. And when I subtract, I get a remainder of 2. So now I'm on step number 2. My quotient becomes my whole number. So my quotient of 4 becomes the whole number in my mixed number. The remainder, step number 3, our remainder of 2 becomes our numerator, and our denominator remains the same. So our denominator is 6. In our mixed number, our denominator remains 6. Then we need to look at the fraction part of our mixed number, 2/6, and we need to simplify if needed. Well, 2 and 6 share a common factor of 2, so I can simplify. Just be sure when you take this simplifying step that you remember about that whole number 4, because the whole number 4 is part of your mixed number. So we'll put the 4 in there first, then we can do our numerator. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and our denominator, 6 divided by 2 is 3. So 26/6 equals 4 and 1/3. So for our last example, we have 42/7 that we're going to turn into a mixed number. We're going to use our steps to do this. So step number 1 is to divide our numerator by our denominator. So we're going to take the 42 and we're going to divide it by 7. So again, the top number 42 on the inside, the bottom number 7 on the outside. So 42 divided by 7 is 6. And 7 goes into 42 exactly 6 times because 6 times 7 is 42, and when I subtract, I get a remainder of 0. But let's still look at all of the steps so we understand what our answer really is. So step number 2, our quotient becomes our whole number, so our quotient of 6 becomes our whole number. Our remainder becomes our numerator, so this remainder of 0 becomes our numerator, and the denominator of 7 remains the same. So we get 6 and 0/7. Well, 0/7 is simply 0. So in this case, our improper fraction as a mixed number is a whole number. So 42/7 equals the whole number 6. Thank you for joining us. Be sure you like this video and subscribe for more videos by Ziva Math.